Remedy.
The most repulsive thing a person can do is attack another person's faith.
Plus, moonshiners take Manhattan. We're the moonshiners. What happens when the TV rednecks invade New York City? Now, Inside Edition with Deborah Norville.
Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Diane McInerney, in today for Deborah Norville.
It's Kirstie Alley's extraordinary attack on her one-time fellow Scientologist, Leah Remini.
I think that is the most repulsive thing a person can do, is attack another person's faith.
Kirstie launched the barrage on Howard Stern's Sirius radio show, slamming the King of Queens star who publicly quit the controversial church last summer.
When you decide to blanket statement that Scientology is evil, you are my enemy.
So I don't get to see my god kids. Friends that we've known for 30, 40 years.
2 weeks ago on The View, Remini said there was a church policy called Disconnecting, where former friends from the church are told to turn their backs on anyone who is left.
I think the one that I think people can relate to is shunning, because I don't think everybody knows that that's what is required when you leave, that friends and family members, mothers and daughters, they can no longer have relationships with me, my family.
But Kirstie Alley insists there is no such thing.
I have hundreds of friends and people that I know that have come into Scientology and left Scientology. It is not true that you can come into Scientology. You're not shunned. You're not chased. All that's just.
Kirstie didn't sound at all interested in making up with Leah anytime soon.
Will you block her on Twitter?
I have blocked her on Twitter.
You have?
Yeah, because she's the biggest.
Scientology denies Remini's claims that they harassed her or encouraged people to disconnect from her. But coming up, we'll talk with a mom who says Scientology policy has led her son to stay away from her.
Next, a mom's quest to see her son after she says she was shunned by the Church of Scientology.
Jeremy, come here.
Then, more on the death of the late great Nelson. And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
Earlier, we told you about Kirstie Alley and Leah Remini fighting over Scientology. Leah claims the church is asking followers to disconnect from her because she left the religion. The church says there is no such policy and they encourage excellent family relationships, even if a member leaves the church. But one mom is now accusing Scientology of keeping her son away from her. And now she's on a quest to change things.
Really nervous to see my son, Jeremy. I haven't seen him in a while now, and I just have no idea what to expect.
Lori Hodgson is on a desperate mission. Along with her mother, Dee, she's flown from her California home to Austin, Texas, hoping for a reunion with her estranged son, Jeremy.
I'm hoping that, the more I share my story, that other people will see what Scientology does to families. They break up families, and that's wrong.
Lori became a Scientologist when she was 13 years old and raised both her children in the controversial church. But in 2010, she says she resigned in bitterness over church policy. 20-year-old Jeremy and his 23-year-old sister Jessica remain true believers, and Lori claims they stopped talking to her based on a church policy known as disconnecting.
If you're having trouble with a person that's critical of the church, you have to either handle them so they're not critical anymore, or disconnect. Disconnect means you can never talk to them again.
Now exhausted and near tears on the night before she tries to see her son, Lori is keeping a video diary. She's asked Inside Edition to come with her because she says she's been followed in the past by an aggressive Scientology video team known as the Squirrel Busters that former church members say harassed them.
I have to be prepared for the worst, but just having that chance to see him, maybe give him a hug, and hopefully I can say something that will help him in this cruel disconnection that he's being forced to do. I'm afraid of the rejection and how he's going to act.
It's the morning she's been waiting for, but Jeremy doesn't know she's coming. When she spots him in a parking lot, she can hardly contain her joy.
Jeremy, hi! Come here! I just want to give you a hug, please.
But Jeremy doesn't want the camera present, so we keep our distance, while mother and son have an emotional reunion.
He talked to me and we hugged each other. He really hugged me. It was incredible. It was just amazing.
Lori practically begs Jeremy to end the painful disconnection, But she says that Jeremy insists she must first go through the Scientology program referred to as steps A to E, where she would have to admit she made a terrible mistake for leaving the church. Lori says even for the love of her children, she can never do that.
His thing that he kept coming back to me is, Mom, just go back in and do the steps. I said, I just want to be your mom.
Lori was also joined by Jeremy's grandmother. They talked more and hugged and cried. But in the end, Lori left with no promises.
What was great about today is that I had those moments with my son. But now I have to be prepared for the worst.
Lori asked her son for his phone number, but he wouldn't give it to her. She says she hasn't heard from him since that meeting. Meantime, Scientology told us there is no policy that requires a person to disconnect, adding each member can make an individual decision to communicate or not with a particular person.